So my role in Predator has always been to take a product and make it better, improve it, make it more accurate, make it more durable, just make the player have a better experience. There's no one thing that Predator's contributed in the billiard industry. It's not one thing, it's many things. You know, so for example, when we first started, Predator was working on their 4th patent. And since then, we have over 35 patents we've applied for.
What is Predator? Predator is really 2 simple words: innovation, inspiration. Why? Well, I always felt that that's what we bring to the game. We bring inspiration for fans around the world to play. Inspiration, give them a connection with the product they play with, whether it's a special limited edition cue that has material that would create an emotion, or mind-blowing technology that will get them off their bed to go practice, to get ready for their next league match.
I'd formed a small company selling cue care products, which was a leather burnisher, a towel container, and an alcohol wipe to wipe your shaft. The problem was I sold a ton of them, but I never got any repeat orders, and I found I had to do something different. So I was looking. And then I was playing in a billiard game, and for some reason I thought I was someone else and just took off and was scoring all kinds of billiards. We were playing to 100 points. It was something like 85 to 50 something, and my tip came off.
So he has to go and change his shaft. He comes back to the table, and all of a sudden, in one shot, second shot, he just loses all references to what was going on. He just loses all his marks. So he couldn't make a point anymore.
13 millimeter ivory ferroed shaft, and I could not make a ball. I could not, it just was all over the place.
And the reason, or what happened, is that he realized, oh, that shaft is different than this one. Where does that difference come from? And that's where Alan McCartney met Steve Titus and asked Steve, hey, Steve, I know there's a difference between this shaft and that shaft. I don't understand it. I want to understand it. So, because I think one is better than the other. And I want to understand why.
Well, one weekend I happened to be out watching a pro women's tournament. And I was at the bar having a Coke, and this guy came up beside me, a couple chairs away. And he ordered, and somehow we started talking, which is quite unusual because Steve is extremely shy. Steve Titus is the only man that I would met or even say I think is a genius. He really is. He just thinks so far out of the box. I don't know what to say. He's just really intuitively smart. Well, we got together and we decided to build a robot. And I said, okay, we'll give you $1,000 in a week to build a robot. When I saw that robot, I had no idea it was sophisticated as it was and as good as it was. It was amazing. We set that thing up and shot it and shot it and shot it, and it just repeated, just left a dot. So we had a 12,000 frame per second camera. 15 minutes. We dispelled so many rumors, not rumors, but theories on what made the cue play well. And we were here and the person was shooting toward us. So the cue hit the ball and it went boom, like a snake, 4 or 5 times. And then it would come to a stop. And then it would start again 4 or 5 times and then stop. And it did that about 4 times, stopped and started. Now you can't see it because it happens so fast, in a few milliseconds. But what it was the shock wave hitting the tip, going down the cue and coming back up the cue and going down the cue and coming back up the cue that was causing this. And when pool players saw that, they couldn't believe that their shaft was doing that.
And from that, they were able to have one machine that would repeat over and over the same stroke. Try different things and design in the front end, the back end, the joint area, and they realized that the front end of the shaft was very critical. So they did 2 years of R&D between 92 and 94 before creating Clausen Custom Cues, i.e. Predator Group.
Was we had the robot, and my office had a window, and I could look out and I could see Steve working with the robot. He was leaning against the table like this with the robot in front of him. You could see he was thinking, and he just got up and walked out. And that's the way Steve was. Not goodbye or anything, and he might be gone for a week. But he walked out, came back a half hour later, and then after 20 minutes of working with the robot, he came in and he says, "I've got it." I says, "Got what?" What he had done is bought some lead tape at a tennis office and put a half a gram of tape on, or 1 gram of tape on the ferrule, and then shot it, and it increased deflection by 16%. 1 gram. 2 grams got into the high 20s. So we saw that increasing weight increased deflection, so reducing weight theoretically should reduce deflection. Here's all the cue makers, and here's us. They're selling designs, we're selling performance. One of our first shows at the Allen Hopkins Expo, and Ernie Chen Falcon had sent us 10 cues, curly, 10 different stains, all with the Uni-Loc joint. They were selling like crazy. And this gentleman came over and he said, "Do you know that these joints are counterfeits?" And I said, "No." And he said, "I'm Paul Costain. This is the Uni-Loc joint. I have a patent on it."
So I got to know Predator through Uni-Loc. Alan McCarty was the owner at the time, and he was looking for something better than a standard 5/16 14 or a 3/8 16 or whatever size joint. So what Uni-Loc afforded him was the interchangeability between shaft and butt that still to this day is #1 in that field. It was also quicker to put together, and that's something you gain for free.
The fact that it's one turn makes no difference to me. It's the way that they're mounted, and any shaft will fit on any other cue, which makes it a lot simpler. And that never happened before. If you bought a shaft, it was always, you could feel the edge somewhere. It was never symmetrical.
The key component to accuracy was weight to stiffness ratio. But so much of that was achievable through wood. So they created 314, the first generation. Then we went on and created 314-2, and then we went on with Paul creating 314-3, and finally REVO came to birth because it was allowing us to take it to the next level. REVO, for me, is 25 years of work, hard work. 25 years of exploration. For me, is connecting the dream of many people I met through my career. Alan, Steve, Paul. It was a big bet, REVO, a big investment for a small company like ours.
I felt even in the early 90s that, pool shafts should be made from carbon fiber. Wood just wasn't the material, because if you left them in the wrong environment, they would be warped, and carbon fiber would be unaffected by that. Who would want to take a shaft that takes a chance of warping, denting, getting dirty, and is less accurate than this? So if you're just starting out in the industry, you'd automatically pick carbon fiber. Why would you pick the inferior material?
And wood just doesn't have a perfect memory. I've seen wood that you can take and do that to. And I've seen shafts and they vary, 30, 40% as far as the elasticity and the weight and the density and just all kinds of things. All wood is different, i.e. the success of REVO.
So I guess I started, aside from Predator, with a golf shaft one time before I even met Predator. In parallel, Steve Titus and Alan McCarty were working on shafts. This is actually one of the models they developed 25 years ago. And it's a working model. It's nothing like REVO. It's very sticky. And there were a lot of problems to still solve. And then next generation came out like in 99, 2000, and a little better, but they still had issues with the finish and trying to get it straight, because back in those days when you take the carbon fiber off the mandrel, there was stress built up in here, and so the shaft would do that, and you'd have a warped shaft. And it wasn't repeatable.
I remember when we used to work with, I tried the first composite shaft back in 1997. First black shaft, and didn't play that well. I remember when we worked with the top golf companies to try to figure out how to make a carbon shaft, they found it too difficult. And I remember when we worked with Porsche Design on Porsche Engineering, you know, they're in Troy and the south of LA, and that was an awesome experience. Even looking at our shaft on the finite element analysis, kind of on a monitor, seeing how it interacted against the ball, and it was really cool, but that did not work.
We kind of gave up on the suppliers kind of gave up on us, and we dropped the project. And then, I guess it has to be 5 or 6 years ago, I thought about putting an assembly of carbon fiber. So this is this piece, epoxy to this piece, epoxy to that piece, and put it inside a wooden shaft. You kind of see that, that's what it looks like. And I thought that would be beautiful. It would give us nice straightness, stiffness. That was kind of a disappointment, because that took me, to develop this whole thing was a year of my life. And everything I tried to make it work wouldn't work. So the next thing was to try to make it out of carbon fiber.
When Paul picked back up that project a few years back, said, "No, Kramer, I want to give it another crack at it." And told him, "Well, how much budget do you need?" He said, "Let me figure it out as you go. As I go, I'll tell you." And he sent me a few shafts. I tried a few shots, and he came back one day and showed me the version that you see today in world championships and such. I was wowed. So yes, it's a great achievement. The Predator experience with design is to create fun. You look at league players, how we help people connect around the game, playing together, teasing each other, talking about their cue designs to each other. Why do I like this cue more than the other?
You can see an evolution in my design, but I had probably 50 black and white designs where I cut them out and I tacked them on the board. Anytime I saw something unique that I thought might fit on a cue, I copied it.
So we had to have presence all over the world to really, really have the impact we should have, to show respect to those different cultures, the right attention, that you're there to listen, to watch them, so you can design for them. Not only aesthetic design, but what cue design in terms of technology is needed to help players win in that game. One of the things I love doing, or what we did in around between 1999 and 2001, 2002, is reorganize our brand portfolio and create more identities. You'll see that the personality of an Icon series design, a black, is quite different than a P3 or Roadline Sneaky Pete Hustler look. One can be modern, one is very American traditional, the other one is modern with a little Japanese, Taiwanese, maybe Chinese twist. Another design will be very contemporary, like P3, inspired by Porsche design or Cayman that I saw about 12 years ago. I'm a big Porsche fan. And we try to find design beauty in different ways.
between Steve and I and Karim, we changed the pool world. We made people aware of things that they never even dreamed of before. And I hope we maintain that respect by coming out with products that are better than whatever was out there before. Not just sticking our name on something. That catches up with you lately. If you build a strong base of unique products and become known as that, people are proud to say that they have a Predator.
Yeah, so I think maybe the biggest contribution I've given to the industry is maybe still to come, but as of today, I would say the vault plate in our REVO shaft and in all our shafts is really my biggest contribution. Better than Uni-Loc, better than radio pin, better than any of the 26 patents that my name is on. In my mind's eye, Karim is one of the most forward-thinking people that I know. He said that was what I loved about him when I first met him. He would talk about things not just next week or next month or next year, but 5 or 10 years. His vision, his great vision for the future, and it's all come to fruition. You know, a lot of the things that people doubted us on, we've actually done, and grown the game and grown the company. I never thought we'd have balls. I never thought we'd have our own cloth. Never envisioned actually getting carbon fiber to work. All the things we've come up with, really it's his vision that's brought it. He inspires me to come up with good things. He'll challenge me. He's real good at that. Special guy. I never met anybody like Karim in my life. He's very unique, good guy.
Paul's legacy is going to be, I think Paul thinks that his legacy will be REVO and his contribution to the sport, bringing REVO to life. But I think his real, in my opinion, his real contribution or legacy will be Predator. It's part of his DNA, is part of Predator's DNA. And that's his true legacy. We innovate in ways and inspire, not only through product, I mentioned experience. We want to tell a story. We want to share our passion for that product we design. We want to share what we think that the game means to us and can mean to you. Make sure we set a path for the future that makes sense. I don't want the game to remain just relevant, but what we're designing in terms of a model is we want this game to help people have more fun, help people to learn to focus. Take a break from your iPhone, connect with your friend, enjoy that camaraderie around the pool table, hang out with your grandfather, your mom, and everybody can play pool. But it requires some discipline, some focus, right? And do it with a cool cue that you feel a connection with. That's what Predator is about, innovation, inspiration.